welcome to this session. This will be our February session today. And the next few sessions will be in March, just maybe 2 weeks or so from now. We will have David Benaim. He's an Excel MVP or a Microsoft MVP. He will be talking about Excel when compared to Google Sheets, the different features available in both programs. And we then, in April, we will have Mr. Excel himself, Bill Jelen, longtime MVP with us. He will be sharing his tips and tricks about pivot tables. And it's been a long time that we have had a session about pivot tables, so I think this will be great too. We had one session about pivot tables when we had just started our meetup group back in 2019. And at that time, the sessions were not even recorded yet, and they were not online. They were in person and they were not recorded. So this will be a great opportunity for us to have that topic in our portfolio there in the meetup, YouTube channel. So feel free to connect with Adam Callens on LinkedIn. There's his profile link there. And with me as well, if you'd like. The meetup group does not have a page on any of the social media platforms. So feel free to reach out there or even through the Meetup website or app. And if you want to share, if you find these sessions valuable, please feel free to also post about these sessions. Use the hashtag MS Excel Toronto and share with your network. I'm sure other people from your connections would be happy to participate in our sessions. So without any more delay, welcome, Adam. It's a pleasure to have you here. You are muted.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure and an honor to have someone directly from Microsoft, the Microsoft Excel team. Adam works there as a product manager. He's been focusing more in the collaboration tools for Excel. So we are very looking forward to hear all about that and anything else you want to share with us today. It's just always amazing to understand what the Excel team is up to. And for sure, we have had a lot of novelties in the past few months. So tell us about yourself, a little bit about your work, and what are the news for us today?
Sure, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It is, for me, exciting to get to present today. I'll confess, it's always a little bit nerve-wracking when you're presenting to an Excel audience because the skill level, the spectrum is so broad. I'm never quite sure what I'm getting. So I hope I don't bore too many people because I try to assume nothing. So I'll walk through everything that I'm doing. And certainly there's folks on this call who actually know more about using Excel than I know. So anyway, but I'm very excited about it. I'm going to share my desktop because I'm going to flip between a couple of different apps. So we'll hop into, actually did a presentation. So excited to be here, especially for the COVID version of these types of things. Hopefully, I don't know if y'all typically do these in person, but if you ever do, Toronto is on my must-visit list. So maybe one day we can make it up there.
Maybe you will be able to help us find a new venue because we were presenting at the Microsoft store that is closed for good now.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, I am happy to try to help with that.
No, we have new facility, Celia.
Yeah.
When COVID is over, before that, we'll have new facilities, very good facility in downtown.
Yeah, so Microsoft is putting up a new building here, new location, venue. So hopefully we will be able to get together there when we can meet in person again. I'm very excited to also know that new place. So
awesome.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Just let us know when you come, Adam.
Yeah,
it will be a pleasure to buy you a coffee here and to have another session.
Thank you. Now, one side note is normally, like when I'm doing my daily work, I have a second monitor. I don't have that up right now, so I don't have the chat. So I'll tab over to the chat periodically. But if there's anything going on in there, please just let me know. Happy to answer questions as we go. We are going to try some live demos, and inevitably I have errors in my syntax when this happens, and the chat is blowing up trying to tell me what I did wrong. So hopefully it's not too painful for folks. A little bit about me, as was mentioned, I'm a product manager at Microsoft focused on Excel collaboration. And this is actually my second time working in Office. So when I first started at Microsoft, I was 4 years on the graphics team. And then I went over to Xbox for a stint. And of course, the universe has a great sense of humor, because when I left Office, I vowed I would never work on Excel, because I actually built worked on some charting features for it. And it's a very challenging piece of software to work with because of all the edge cases and the variety of ways the product can be used. But of course, here I am getting to work on Excel. I actually love it. I love the team. I love the product, and it's great. And what's really interesting is coming out of Xbox, where you work on titles that have really, really strong fans, is to come over to a product like Excel, where there's also people who are massive fans of it. And since working on Excel in the last year, I've added a lot of folks on LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn feed has a lot of people who are very passionate about Excel, and it's really, really fun to see. So, just a little bit about me. Again, excited to be here. Now, before we go any further, I want to make sure I call this out. Anytime you are in the Excel app, we love to get feedback. And the mechanism we have for that, in the upper right corner of your screen, you will see a smiley face. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and tab over to our demo book real quick. It's up here in the right-hand corner. Some of you won't see it. I actually don't know why that is, but if you go to File in the upper left corner, you'll see a frown or a smile up here. This is called the backstage back here. So that is how you can send us feedback. So since we're already here, normally I show this later, but we'll do it. So I'll pad my stats. We'll click I like something. You can type in here. This is the greatest tool available. I heard you're doing a Google Compete comparison. I'm excited to hear about that. You can include a screenshot, and make sure, if you want to hear from us, that you include your email address, whether in the body of the note or down here. So include your email address. That way we can reach back out to you. Obviously, if there's a challenge, we get customers who reach out to us. The first thing we tell them is send us a frown. That will include logs associated with it so we can dig into it. So send us the feedback. The special bonus I'm offering today only is, I don't know why it kicks out. If you include hashtag Excel Toronto in your comment, I have a query set up that it will email me. I'll get a notification when you post your comment. So if you send a frown, send a smile, hashtag Excel Toronto, that'll show up. I've offered this before. People have asked me questions there and not included their email, so I wasn't able to answer. We take privacy very seriously. So make sure you include your email if you want me to follow up. So again, 2 places, smile or frown. Believe it or not, we do actually look at them. We try to look at all of them. We look at a lot of them. We also look at them in aggregate. So if we see lots of frowns coming about a particular area of the app, we dig into that a little bit deeper. So there is value in sending it, especially in numbers. So hashtag Excel Toronto gets it to my inbox. So
can I ask something, Adam?
Absolutely.
Is this type of feature, this interaction, available for any Excel or just the Microsoft 365 users?
I believe
probably just those, right?
I want to say it's in the box product as well, but I actually don't know the answer to that. I apologize. I probably should have looked that up. Sometimes I take for granted that I'm on, that obviously I'm on a
everyone is on Microsoft 365.
Yeah. So
it would be so good, but
right? Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
No, I understand there's constraints that many of you can't control, and we encounter that frequently within organizations. So if you don't see it there, I believe there are some other feedback mechanisms on our website. So,
or the user voice.
The user voice channels. Yep. Oh, yes. So look at that. I even had an animation on it. So, I assume if you're here, you're someone who already uses Excel, but obviously this is something we like to really tout. It's just that Excel is on a massive number of devices worldwide. In fact, we have a whole mobile team who's focused on continuing our reach and improving the mobile experience. So it's probably well over 500 million by this point. But we're very, very proud of the tool that we build. It's really interesting to see and work with people who have been on Excel for 20 years, who are just passionate about the tool, passionate about making something that helps people achieve more in their lives. And so it really is for us an honor to get to work on it. So thank you for your support and for helping to make it successful. Okay, so today we're going to split this into two categories. Actually, before we even get there, you'll notice in the bottom right corner, this website, aka.ms/what's new in Excel. This is the place where, one of the places where we post new things that are going on in the app, new features. And this isn't like the overwhelming, this is just kind of the snippets, a highlight per month. Hey, something we did. If you want to kind of check in, see what's going on, this is a great place. We keep it updated with things that have actually shipped. So you'll notice I think December is one of the most recent posts there, but absolutely check it out. We're going to hop over and show a couple of videos from there as well. This is a great place to check in and see some examples of some of the latest stuff. So I've split our content today. On the left-hand side are some of our newer functions and features. I don't work on any of those. So we're going to do some live demos. I'll make some mistakes. It'll be a fun time. Bear with me, but it'll be great. On the right-hand side, the collaboration pieces, this is where me and my team do work. So I actually spend a lot of my time focused on reliability, which isn't flashy. That's a nice way to say, fixing bugs and making it work, increase trust and confidence in the app when you're working with other people. So, but there are some features that our team has built around making it easier to work with other people. So we'll walk through some of those, not as much of a live demo on those, but we'll actually show some of those features, and hopefully you're able to use those and give us feedback. A lot of these, being that they're within the last year, you do have to be on a fairly recent version of Excel to see these features. So I believe everything we're going to talk about here is available in some capacity in the web as well. So if you have an Outlook.com account, you can use these for free in the web. And then if your company has the web versions as well, you can use those. And I believe all these features are 100% released to production in the web as well. And one thing I was told to absolutely highlight, many times we hear from people, I'd love to work with others in my workbook, in my document, in my spreadsheet, but I have to go to web for that. And so we are slowly trying to dispel this myth. It actually works in the desktop version as well. I spend a lot of my time focused on getting it working even better in the desktop version. So don't be scared. You can use it from your desktop version of the app. The only caveat is it does have to be saved to a cloud location. If it's just saved to your desktop, other people can't work on it with you. That's the one gotcha. So there you go. Absolutely use it. Send us lots of smiles for the good stuff, frowns for the bad stuff, and we're still working to make it better. Any questions before we move forward?
I don't think I see any questions there. There's Oakley confirming that or saying that it is available for all versions from 2016. So I'm assuming that feature to send the feedback. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. I was hoping that was the case.
Thank you, Oakley.
Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about, one of the first things we're going to talk about is the let function. The let function is a great tool for assigning values, storing intermediate calculations, and you can define names inside a formula. So as you get more complex and how you're analyzing your data and where you're pulling things from, it really, and especially when you have very complex formulas, it's going to really increase the readability of those formulas. So here's kind of the breakdown of what that looks like. It's equals let. You can assign a variable name, the value that's associated with, and then the calculation that you run on it. So down here, you can see our very simple example. We say, okay, we're going to have an X whose value is 1, a Y whose value is 1. When we add those two variables together, our output is 2, right? We're going to hop over, I believe it's, okay. So just in case we fail, I also have it. in there. But so, all right, we'll delete that. So we're over in our workbook. Now I posted in the chat a copy of this workbook. I did not venture to send you the same copy I'm working from, as fun as that would have been to have everyone in here with me. So you do have your own copy. You can download that. Just give you some, if you want to follow along, you're absolutely welcome to do that. So we'll walk through an example of the let function here. And I have absolutely cheated and put the answer here. But again, just kind of walking through and letting you see and ask any questions you have as well. So we're going to start with the let function. And one of the big improvements, and I know this has been here a while, but I don't like to take it for granted, is our pop-up here does allow us to action on these. So it actually shows you which piece you're working on within the formula. So the formula is written out here. You see this here, I get the name one, so I need to define the first name. And this just makes it a bit easier when you're writing your formulas. So something that I'm a big fan of. So we're going to define this filter criteria. And we're going to call it Fred. And what we're going to do is we're going to have it look through the table to pull out Fred. And so over, and this will be our filtered range.
Adam, sorry to interrupt you. Whenever you finish your formula, do you think you can zoom in a little bit? Because it could be.
Yeah.
And for people also watching from small devices, you can look into the 3-dot icon on Teams and see if you have a focus or a full screen option there. If you do, it will help the presentation take more room in your screen. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
No, I actually really appreciate that, because it is super frustrating if you're trying to follow along and it's like, I can't read that. It's okay. There's an engineer I work with frequently, and I'm always showing him my screen, and he gives me the same feedback. So, okay. So we moved forward a little bit here. So what we did was we're setting a filter over this range, and we're looking at the filtered criteria, which we've defined as Fred. So we're looking for that criteria over the entire table, right? So our data range is the entire table, but the filter is just on this column, right, where the names of the reps are. And then we're using we're also saying in our output, if there is a blank, to use to put a hyphen in so that we can see what happened there. So because I wanted to actually output a hyphen, I'm putting it in quotes here. So you see that up here, that's where that's going. And look at that, almost had an error. That wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't get my hyphen. Okay, so I've got an error in here somewhere, but what we've done is, right, so first we've said, okay, we're gonna create this function called filtered criteria. And we're gonna set it equal to Fred. And then within that, we're going to, now we are actually running a filter over this table, and we're looking for filter criteria, which is Fred. So it's pulling out Fred, only Fred's content, and spitting it out here. And then something about my hyphen is bad. Why is that bad? It worked when I practiced before. Okay, well, I'm gonna let it go, because I won't make y'all sit here with me troubleshooting, but you'll probably hear it from me later once I figure out why I had that wrong. But I should have a hyphen here. So if my syntax was correct, I'd have a hyphen here instead of a 0. So it's returning 0 because I botched that somehow. Anyway, so then it outputs this table. Again, a very simple example, right? We're just saying, okay, Fred, obviously we didn't have to necessarily use a let function here, but you can imagine as you have that more complex data set, this makes it so much easier ideally for us to also go back and read, okay, we defined this filter criteria as Fred. Where did we use that, as opposed to having to define that in multiple places, and it just gets it a lot clunkier. So, okay, it is killing me. So we're going to copy and paste our answer, because I just have to know. Okay, there it is. So this one is right, the one you see on the screen there, and the one that I actually manually typed in. And I did promise to zoom in, so we'll zoom it in a little bit here.
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Absolutely. And then we're going to force it over some so you can actually see that example. Do pull down the workbook and take a look at it as well. Yes.
Do you have your Excel maximized, or is it the window?
The window is maximized.
Okay. Okay. So that's on my side then. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, you're fine. Okay. All right, now let's hop back over to our presentation. There we go. So that's the let function. XLOOKUP. Now, XLOOKUP, we'll show the little teaser trailer here in just a second. XLOOKUP is interesting because I believe of all the social media posts we have had for Excel in the last like 2 years, this one generated by far, maybe even longer, this one generated by far the most buzz, the most retweets. People were super pumped about this. And if you are someone who has used, I believe it was called VLOOKUP in the past, it had a lot of limitations. VLOOKUP, if I recall, could only search to the right of itself. It couldn't turn left. If you're familiar with a movie of a character who couldn't turn left, so you had to really be careful with how you structured your data. The order of your data really mattered. XLOOKUP gives you the advantage of being able to look in any direction. And you can return it just in, and performance, a big piece is performance. So let's hop over to this and we're going to watch our video. Hopefully everyone can see this. Is it silent for everyone or just me?
Yes, it's silent for me. It's silent. I'm not sure if there should be sound.
There should be, but we'll let it roll. I'll fix that in a second. It's a rookie mistake. Okay, it's much more fun with audio. I apologize. So the mistake I made is that in here, when I share my screen, I need to include audio. So give me 1 second.
Exactly.
And I did know that, by the way.
Yeah, I always forget that too. I think that button should be bigger.
That toggle there.
Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
And
Okay.
Use the XLOOKUP function in Excel when you need to find things in a table or arrange by row. Select a cell. Type equal XLOOKUP and select the function. Select another cell to enter the lookup value. Type a comma. Select the cells you want to find the lookup value. Type a comma. Select the cells that contain the data to return. Press Enter. Now try it out. Sweet.
Okay, did we get the audio that time?
yes.
Yay. Okay, now it'll be good for all the other ones. Okay, so we're actually gonna hop into our demo book. Oh, so one thing to note, if you open this up, Joe McDade, who is a PM on our team, who has incredibly deep knowledge of the product, he wrote this up, so I can't take any credit for it. But he highlights here on the Y tab some of the reasons to use XLOOKUP over VLOOKUP, why the team put in this effort. So if you're curious about going a little bit deeper, these are some of his notes on it, and some of the customer pain points we were actually trying to address. So what we're going to do is we have this table of data, and hopefully folks can kind of see it. I'm zoomed in a little bit here, but I'm at the limit for my screen. And what we're going to do is we are actually going to use 2 XLOOKUPs. We're going to nest one inside the other. And what that's going to allow us to do, it's going to allow us to look down our income statement to find what piece of data we're looking for. And then we can go over to the correct quarter that we want. So let's try this out. So we go equals XLOOKUP, open parentheses. And we need to tell it the value that we're going to look up. So in this case, it is going to be Q1. And I'm going to not press that. I'm going to press F4. And what the dollar signs do, instead of making this a relative reference, it makes it an absolute reference. So in a moment, I'll show you how we can move this formula around and we can keep our references pointed at the things we want them pointed at. So F4 is the keyboard shortcut to let you toggle through some different options, but the dollar sign means stay in the column J, and this dollar sign means stay in the row 10. So it's going to lock us to J10 for the one that we're looking at. And actually, because I'm going to be tricky in a second, we're going to just lock the column, not the row, because we'll actually do some fun stuff here in a second. Okay. Now we need to tell it where to look for that data. So we are actually going to look over B5. So that starts at B5, our income statement, and we're going to go until B15. Okay, so you can see it's highlighted there in red. I'm pointing with my finger, even though you can't see my finger, I apologize. But it's highlighted there in red. You can see that is where we're going to look for. First, we're going to find a value there. In this case, it's going to be gross profit. So then we're going to return. This is where we're going to nest. And now we're going to look across, the entire data set. So oh, I got that one back. I got something backwards in here already. We'll fix that in just a second. So we want J10 as the one we look for. The other J10 is wrong. So no. This should actually refer to gross profit. That was my mistake. Sorry, I caught that here. So this should be K, and it should be 9. The reason is, so we're first going to look down column B, and we're looking for gross profit, which is right here. So that was the mistake I almost made. Then once we found that over here, we then look across that row for something in that column header. In this case, it's going to be Q1. So we're going to continue typing. Oh, I prefer to edit down here. Okay, so we're going to continue typing, and on that one, we're going to lock it. So I use the dollar sign to lock it to column J. I then want to tell it to look across the entire set of data over here, starting in C5. So we're going to say, look in C5, all the way over to G15. No, excuse me, across the top. So all the way over to G5. And we're going to tell it the data set that it's looking across, which in this case is going to be C6, all the way down to G15. Fingers crossed. Oh, I'd always find the typo. Okay, so we have a typo. So let's go back into it real quick. We're going to troubleshoot.
Maybe a parenthesis missing or something at the end.
It's always a parenthesis missing in my world. Okay, so let's look. Our first X lookup. Are you confident that? Did you tell me it had parentheses?
No, I'm not totally sure. Maybe.
Okay, no worries.
So
we'll just.
C9.
Yep. So at first it's looking at K9. So it's getting gross profit, and we're telling it search across here for gross profit, and it should be able to find that. Then we're telling it, after you find that, go over until you find Q1. So it's referencing Q1 here, and look across this top for Q1, which it should be doing. And then it should find within this data set below it, it should be looking at from C6 all the way down to G15. Huh, I'm stumped on this one. Let's see if our error gives us any help. It doesn't. Error in value. Okay. Well, let's go back here and look at what we did before. So up here, when I did this as my warm up, we can walk through this real quick. So we looked at K5 and it found gross profit, and it looked from B6 all the way down to B15. So the only difference there is I did do B5, but that shouldn't matter. But we're going. Okay, I'm just going to stop right there.
That matters because of the ranges that you are referencing probably need to have the same dimension. That's probably.
It is. That's a really good point. So let's call that error out. I guess in the end, I'm glad I made it because we can all learn from it. So what Cecilia was trying to point out there is that we're telling it to look across this range of data here, right? And if it's searching for a larger range of data to first find out where to go across, that confuses it. It says, wait, these should be the same size. So when I inadvertently included B5, this column was taller than the data set it was trying to compare it to. And so Excel says, I don't know what to do with that. By correcting that, now we're consistent. It's looking across this column, and then it's looking at this data. And so now we're consistent. So we get $25,000 as our gross profit. So let's go double check. Q1, gross profit, $25,000. Now, if we did this right, fingers crossed again, I should be able to grab this corner. You'll notice my cursor changes to black when I get right here. And I can click and drag this, and I get net profit over here for Q1, come over, net profit 19,342, perfect. And this copied it as a $sign, but we actually want this as a percent because that's supposed to be a percent. I always get that backwards. So there we go. So then there's those. Now, something interesting we can do is I can now take this down as well, and I can type in Q2, and I can type in Q3, and now it will automatically return those as well. So again, awesome XLOOKUP. It's more performant. That makes a big difference when you're working in large files. And by the way, when you're working with lots of people, it makes an absolutely huge difference. So it's more performant. We're able to look in multiple directions within a data set to narrow down to exactly what we want to return. Once we went through the pain of getting our first formula set up correctly, we were then able to just drag that over, grab gross profit, net profit, different quarters, look across these, and we can, once we do the pain of that first one, boom, we're off and running. There's XLOOKUP. Please go use it. Send us some feedback on it. Smiles for the good stuff, frowns for the stuff we can do better. And watch out for those syntax errors like I had today. Okay, any questions before we move on to Excel ideas?
I don't see any particular questions. If anyone has a question related to these functions, feel free to unmute or to type in the chat very quickly.
Oh, otherwise, and Oakley, thank you for posting the link, and Shrija as well. Thank you for posting that. Awesome. Then let's keep going. Okay, Excel ideas. This is a really cool one, and this feature I think is a lot of fun because this one, and when we talk about data types as well, you know, I'm a gamer. I had the opportunity to work in Xbox. I've been a gamer my whole life, and it's always a bummer when you come across a video game that the developer isn't really supporting anymore. There's no new content. There's not as many players. But Excel ideas and data types are areas that are new. They're hot in a good way. And the team is continuing to invest in these areas. So this is a place where giving us feedback will matter. We're continuing to invest here and make these better. We're going to hop over real quick to ideas in Excel. Here we go. No, that wasn't. Okay.
It's a fun one.
It is a fun one. I always like the music. So, and by the way, I can pick up the pace. If people are like, okay, you know, we know a lot of this, you can move a little faster. That's fine too. If it's a great pace for people, let me know. So, you know, feel free to drop something in the chat. I am trying to shoot for 3:30, so I'm gonna pick it up a tiny bit. Excel ideas. What I love about it is I'm one of those people who I get a data set and I'm not always sure what to do with it, right? All this feedback you give us across a bunch of different feature areas. What do I do with that? How do I prioritize it? How do I see the patterns in the data that should matter and help me make the right business decisions? So I love about this is it allows you to very quickly try some different things and see what works. And so I'm just gonna real quick, we will run through ideas. So here I am, I have a data set on the sheet. I don't even have it selected. I open up, I go to the home tab, way over here I have ideas. It's the nice little lightning bolt. Like you get struck with lightning, you know, you get an idea. And here we go, sweet. I'll make this a lot bit bigger. So it has looked at the data on the sheet and said, okay, you have a data set here. It's identified the fact that we have row headers here as well. And it's pulled out some suggestions from this data set. So you can see over here on the right, we have profit by rep. So one of the things you could do is you could look at Amy and Fred side by side, so collapse down their profits together. And it even gives us a grand total, which I don't have in my original chart. So it's offering us additional insight here that we can jump into. One of the things that I like about this as well is I can take some things out. So I could say, for example, well, I really just want to know which region by profitability. So I can update this and they can say, okay, great. Now it's going to pull out west, east, north, south, still going to give us a total at the bottom, and it makes it very quick and easy for us to make these comparisons. Again, it's a very, very simple example, but when you apply this across you know, larger, more complex data sets, I find it to be a very powerful tool, especially when I'm just getting started and I may feel overwhelmed by what I'm looking at. So Excel ideas, jump in and try it out. Please send us feedback on it. This is an area where we're still making it better. Oh, the other one that's great that I wanted to call out too is this up here. We call this our, you know, I think like natural language querying, and there's people dedicated to making this great, which is we want you to be able to come in here and just type a question about your data and have it find that answer for you. And give you charts and organize that data in a way that makes that easy to access. So try this out as well. Send us some feedback on it. The team is continuing to work to make this entire experience better. Okay, data types. This is another area where we have seen a lot of positive energy. The team is very excited about what this means for us. This is absolutely one of our more cutting edge features. So you're only going to see this if you're in the web or if you're on a latest version on the desktop. But this is one that I really think has a lot of potential. So we're going to hop over. I think we have a quick video for this one as well. And then we'll do a very short demo. Awesome. So back in our workbook, we're going to come over here. And I like to look up stocks and investment ideas. So I'm going to type in MSFT. I'm going to type in Goog AMZN for Amazon. And after I get 3 in a row, Excel detects Sorry, let me zoom in. I forget the zoom. I think the zoom level is per sheet. Okay, so I'm over here. I've typed in MSFT, Google, Amazon. It detects these and says, hey, these might be stocks. Do you want to convert this to a data type? And I said, yes, I do. And here we go. So now it's detected. I get the symbol here. I can show a card associated with that one. So here it's going to pull a bunch of information. And I neglected to say this earlier, but there's Microsoft and the Excel team have launched a partnership with Wolfram Alpha to supply a lot of this data. So there's this ongoing partnership. They're continuing to make improvements both to data quality and to data types that show up in here. So they pull a bunch of information here about Microsoft stock. And then I can come over here and I can click on this to add fields. So I can say, you know, hey, I want the most recent price, and that's just going to appear here to the right. And I, you know, want to see the market cap as well. And then I believe I can drag down, and this will be true for both, for all three. So I can see these here, right? I do wish it had the headers come in. So that'll be feedback for them. And I can put these in here as well and very quickly pull these in. Now I'm you know, you may recall I have a degree in physics. And so I like to do elements as well. It recognizes these as elements and says, hey, do you want to convert these to the element data type? Of course I do. I'm doing a demo of that. So now I can go in here. I can pull up the card for oxygen. Can give me some basic detail on it as well. I can also come in here. I think boiling point is fascinating. And I always want the molecular, atomic number, right? So I can pull both these in. I drag these down. I get this as well. The other, by the way, one of the biggest categories we've seen a lot of traction in is food. So people building out entire meal plans in Excel, something that I know folks did in the past anyway, but now you can pull in calorie counts, carbs, protein ratios, all these pieces. You can use your spreadsheet to calculate this and see what you're eating and how you're trending against whatever your goals are for your diet. So build out meal plans, all those things. So we're seeing a lot of that usage there and a lot of feedback there for how to improve those data sets. The other thing that I think is really powerful on the enterprise side, so for companies, is you can build these internal to your company as well. So let's say that over here you had it be a particular customer and you have a bunch of customer data associated with it. You can actually just put that in, set that as a data type, and then now you can pull in just the data about that customer that you want to see in this particular spreadsheet. No having to go do additional external links, tie things together, data references. You can do it all right here and pull in the data that you need specific to that, that entity. So data types, incredibly powerful, a lot more coming in this space. Please give us feedback. We're really hoping to empower scientists, you know, the financial sector, all these pieces, right? Bring them together and make it easier for you to get to your data and pull in the pieces that you need. So data types. Any questions on data types?
No special questions. There was a comment before about the XLOOKUP asking if the XLOOKUP, if we have multiple results, would give us the multiple results or just the first one?
That is a great question.
Yeah, it's only the first one, but we can sort it. One of the parameters in the function is let us choose whether we want to look up, down or down, up, and without having to sort the data.
Yes, so I believe it's going to return the first, but I can double check on that. That's a great question. How would you get to the second item, right, if there's multiple? Yeah, I actually don't know that answer offhand. That's a really good question, and one that's I'm sure commonly hit, right? When you're searching across a large data set, you're likely to have more than one entry. So I appreciate that question. I'll have to follow up on that one. Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say one workaround if you have that situation would be to work with Power Query if that's an option. because merging, if we merge, we use merge left outer, for example, and we have multiple results for a certain search, then we can get the multiple results using that feature. But it may not be an option every time. So it's not using Excel formulas, it would be using Power Query.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so now
I think there's a question. Someone had a question there about showing us how to create your own data type card. And I have a question. I noticed your sheet shows how many are available right now. I'm in Canada. I'm only seeing 2, stocks and geography. Is there a specific reason for that?
Yes, because many of our data types are still in preview. I've made the mistake in the past of actually clicking on it and showing all the ones that are in preview. Oh, hold on, timeout. No, you're looking, there should be more than that available, but you're in Canada. Let me take a note on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to make my action items here. So I have 2 items here. So does X lookup only return the first item, or how to look up others? And only 2 data types showing in Canada.
Yeah, apparently in UK as well. So that's pretty strange because I'm Office 365 personal user. I don't know if that makes a difference as well. If you're on your personal account instead of your corporate account.
I didn't think that they were specific to that, but you know what? We are just going to use the fact that I know the person in charge of that, and I'm going to ask him.
Yeah, because I do all my updates, so I should have everything.
If I'm not mistaken, initially the Wolfram were just coming out for personal accounts. Then I believe they were also coming for enterprise subscriptions, but I'm not sure where it stands now.
And the person in the UK responded saying that they're an exchange account, so I guess it really shouldn't matter then.
And what were the data types you said you saw?
Geography and stocks. That's it for me.
Can you guys hear me? Hello.
Yes.
Hi. How did you do it on the B column to appear stocks or elements? Can you please show me again?
Absolutely. So there are certain data sets that Excel will auto detect. So in this case, if I type in ticker symbols, and once I input the third, it'll say, hey, we think these are stocks. Let's convert these. And then I could actually keep going. Got to put GameStop in here. And it will recognize them in the continuous column as well. Now, obviously, I'm cheating a little bit because I'm aware of which ones it auto detects. I also have the option. I'm on a limb here because I don't remember how this works, but I can go to the data tab and I can actually say, okay, these should be stocks, and it will then detect them as well.
Right.
So on the data tab, if you have this shows up under data types. Yeah, don't get me in trouble for clicking on this. And so the full set will look like this. There's a bunch of things from my organization. So these are going to be pre-release. You see there's nature ones, a lot of these things coming, and then you could look at more from your organization. I don't believe individuals can create these today. I believe this has to be created at the organizational level, and I'm going to confess I don't know how to do that. But we can find out what that is.
I'm comparing Office 365 with my Office 2019. And I can certainly do that on Office 365. And I'm looking if I can also do it on Office 2019, which is like the local.
You will not.
No.
It almost certainly won't be there.
Yeah.
So this released within the last year, I believe less than a year ago, it went to preview. So, okay, we pinged the PM responsible for it. It says that he's in a meeting. He hasn't gotten back to me yet. So we'll hit. We actually had kids on the same T-ball team together, so it's kind of fun. I pinged him. I said, hey, in the Canada and UK, they're only seeing geography and stocks. Hopefully he gets back to me here in a minute. We'll double check at the end. But almost certainly, there's my guess is something about the deal with Wolfram Alpha. We've only released in certain regions currently, and hopefully I would expect that rollout to improve in the future. Okay, are we good to move on to sheet views or any more questions there?
Okay.
I'm going to mute everyone, and then if I mute you, Adam, please unmute yourself, because there's a few people with microphones on. Okay. Adam, you are muted. I had to mute everyone first because there were a few microphones turned on.
No, you're totally
sorry.
You're totally fine. Okay, so we got an answer from Ben. If you go to web, we've rolled out more to web. On the desktop, the rollout there is a little bit more paced. So I spoke strongly on my slide, forgetting that a lot of those were on web. So yeah, as I'm sure many of you are aware, we have certain rings. So what that is as we create new features, right, we have them on the team who makes them first, then we'll release them to all of Microsoft. That's our Microsoft ring. Then we'll go out to really kind of like our beta testers, if you will. We call that our insider ring. And then with there, we'll kind of release features broader. That helps us be a bit more cautious, right? So that we're not blowing up spreadsheets or, shipping errors and mistakes. That's kind of the pattern. So for desktop, we're a bit more cadenced with how we release those rings, just to make sure everything's great and in a good place. With web, we have the ability, because you're always up to date on the web, right? Because you log in, and we can update those servers anytime. So with web, we can be a bit more aggressive at times with those rollouts. So my understanding is right now, what I just got from Ben is on the web, they should be there. So try it in the web client. In desktop, that rollout is continuing. For both PC and Mac are coming. They're preview only right now. So there we go. There's our answer from the source. Okay, I realize we're right at 3:30. How are we doing? Do you want me to hit these last few things real quick? Do you want to shift to Q&A? If folks need to drop, that's totally fine too. I have a few minutes. I can keep going. What do you want to do? Celia, any thoughts? Can't hear you. All right, we'll keep going.
Sorry, I was muted now.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I would like to hear about the collaboration tools. So if you have a couple more minutes, would love to hear that. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
I told my kids I'm in here till 4 o'clock West Coast time, US. So we're good. We've carved out a little nugget of time. Awesome. So we talked about a bunch of stuff I don't work on as much. Now we're to the stuff I do get to work on. Some fabulous work here by the team, stuff I'm very excited about. Sheet views is one that was in response to multiple people are working in a workbook. We want to look at data under different lenses than each other and not mess each other up. How can we do that? And so sheet views is the response to that. So this is the scenario where you have a data set with a set of filters on it. You want to set filters and look at your own filters and not mess up someone else. So here you're looking at a quick demo in the web client. Person number 1 is here. He's clicking on the drop down. I'm just going to pause the video. When he clicks on that and he says, hey, I want to sort this, we ask, do you want to do this just for yourself or for everyone? If you're going in, you're like, hey, you need to manage some things, right? You need to look at your region specifically or your stuff on top. You want to do this just for yourself. So you can go in, make those changes. No one else is aware at all that you have done this. Let's say, like in this case, you're presenting, right? So you want everyone to see it because maybe they have a copy of it open as well, or you're in a phone call together and you're walking people through it. You can do it for everyone. So you can set the filters that everyone should see. Now that's one aspect to this that I really like. I'm actually more excited about what you're going to see here in a second. So he does this just for himself. Now he enters the sheet view. He gets our introduction to a new feature tab. I'm sure y'all probably just still blow these away, but we actually build these on purpose to help you get an understanding of new things that we're doing. So he's going to click through that for us. Couple things to note. My UI here obscures it, but on that tab that you're on, you get that little eye down there. And that tells you that you are in a sheet view. So if you are trying to tell someone else, right, hey, this is what you should be seeing, that lets you know only you are seeing what's going on right here, okay? So that's what that little eye down there tells you. That's our cue. I think we actually might change the color of the tab as well. We experimented with some other things to make it more obvious. Oh, I believe also it's gray here, so your columns and your row headers actually change color as well. Again, just trying to reinforce with some visual elements that, hey, you're in a sheet view, only you can see this. If you change the underlying data, then other people would see that. So if you were to change, you know, Alabama to Alaska, let's say fix a typo, then that would matter. Here he's going through all these as well. But the one I'm really excited about, I think, is at the end of the video. Okay, so here we go. Oh, he's about to exit. So in this case, the other thing you can do is you can click this drop down up here that says view 1, and you can name your view. And the reason I like that is having managed a lot of projects using Excel. Yes, I use Excel as a project planner. Having managed a lot of projects in that, or different data sets in that, I will set up a set of filters, but then I need to look at a different set of filters. And so I have to click around all those things. You can actually save a view that you've created. Other people can see it, so they can quick access that view as well. This is really helpful for like our cross-team collaboration. So in Office at times, you know, we'll have spreadsheets that have a lot of work that is happening across multiple teams, and you want to filter that to just the folks working on collaboration. Well, that's PowerPoint, Word, Excel, and a shared team. So there's 4 different groups with lots of people in them, and we can have this one sheet view. Anyone can go look at it. Boom, it quickly filters to just the stuff that those people would want to see. Or I can create my own views and build those out as well. Then when I come back, I can jump between those views and kind of do this quick filter. Maybe I'm the only one who gets that excited about it, but I love it because I hate having to go back and like reset my filters to look at some different combinations of what matters for the areas that I'm responsible for. So this is one I'm really excited about. Absolutely hop in and try sheet views, a great one to give us feedback on. Okay, we're about to move on. Any questions on sheet views before we proceed? Okay, I don't see anything in the chat. Sheet view is grayed out. Maybe because you're alone in there. Can you lock it down? I want to say, that's a great question. I want to say there is an option to make it private. If I go back over here, I believe this one has a sort. So I have sheet view, new sheet view. I believe in the short term, so I can set this here. I'll actually just do the demo real quick. So Adam, view 1.
If they just created a new workbook, it needs to be saved to enable sheet view. That could be one of the.
Now that is a really good point. So it needs to be in a co-authorable location, meaning I think if it's just on your desktop, a lot of these co-authoring features don't show up. Once you save them, say to like OneDrive, Excel recognizes, hey, this is a place where other people can access it. So now the collaboration features light up. So.
Yes, someone else is also confirming that after saving, it's no longer grayed out. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, wonderful. Woo. I like when they're easy to troubleshoot. Okay, I'm gonna keep rocking here. Okay, read and reply. I like this feature. This one took me a while to even realize it was there. I kind of took it for granted. On my team, obviously, we do a lot of work in spreadsheets. A lot of it's project organization. status, kind of the different pieces that we're working on. Here, I had one of my engineers come in and assign me a task. When that happens, he actually mentions me. So he goes in, he sets a comment, he says, hey, I think he asked me originally to look at some data. He mentions me. I get an email about this. This shows up in my work email. I have two choices. I can go directly to that comment. So it will open the workbook and take me to the place where that comment is. Or I can respond to that without ever leaving my email client, which of course for me is Outlook. So I can click, if I look at this and I see, oh, I know exactly what he's talking about. I can click add comment, boom, 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 tell him, either I'm going to get to it later or this is what it should be. I can post it. It will actually post it in the workbook. He will get an email notification that I responded to that comment. He'll get the response in email, and I don't even have to open the workbook. So this reply with an @mention is a really powerful tool when you're working with other people, or if you're like me where you're trying to track down status on a bunch of things very quickly. It allows people to quickly kind of have this side conversation that's tied to a piece of data on a cell very quickly. I love this feature. It's one of those things that like monthly or quarterly I end up using for like a couple of days really intensely. And so absolutely, I hope y'all find a lot of value in this as well.
I've been using this for the past few weeks and I love it too. It's
there we go.
The only thing I haven't really, I've been meaning to test it and understand it better, but I haven't done it yet, is the assign task feature. It seems that it's only available when we open the file online, I think. Do you know about that? Because when we are posting a comment, sometimes we get a field at the bottom with a check that we can put a check mark on to assign that a task to someone relating to that comment. But it doesn't seem to be there all the time, that option.
I believe it is completely rolled out in web. So on the web, I do think you'll see it there, and it is not 100% rolled out to production desktop yet. Okay. Yeah, so again, yeah, absolutely. Generally speaking, new features will go 100% to web first. That's kind of our safe place where if there's a mistake, it's very easy for us to roll it back. Then we'll do a more moderate rollout on desktop. So that's very likely the case. You're seeing it there. I actually thought it was 100% on desktop, but apparently we're approaching that right now. So it's working its way through the rings.
Thank you.
But absolutely. Okay, I think this is our last. Yes, go ahead.
Do you ever have the ability to choose that it doesn't, or when you put does the read and reply behaves the same way when you put a comment in a shared Excel file? Like I know the individual, so I have a shared folder in my OneDrive. I share the spreadsheet within that folder, but the folder is shared to another individual within my tenant. And so when I go in and put a comment within that file, it always sends the comment by email. But when they click on that link, it always takes them to the web. Do you have the ability anywhere in settings to say open in the desktop, or that user always have to remember to do that themselves? Do you have the ability to do that?
Great question. In Teams, so in Microsoft Teams, you can. So I'm a big fan of the desktop, right? Like I prefer the desktop generally. So in Teams, you can tell it, hey, when I click on links, open them in the desktop first. In Outlook, that would be an Outlook setting because Outlook is actually taking that link and doing something with it. So I believe they'd have to look at it. Or worst case scenario, when it opens up in web, they have to go click on that open in desktop. Yeah. But that's a great piece of feedback though. Write that one down too.
So maybe that's something that I can try and send the feedback from directly in the.
Yeah, please do. Absolutely.
When I sign on tomorrow, my 10, I'll do that because the moment you say that, then I have a thought wherein, oh, maybe if I embed that file in Teams, then it would bypass sending that email and just pop up, right?
I don't know on that one.
Yeah, because when you can add an Excel file as a tab within Teams, right?
Yes, you can.
So I imagine maybe I can test that part and see how that would work with the comments.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and our team's integration with Excel is an area where we are continuing to invest. Now, unfortunately, that means, right, things we're working on now will take a couple months for you to see them. But that is something that we, as a team, we say, hey, we want this to be a great experience, especially obviously coming from the collaboration side. We consider communication with what I'm doing in my workbook to be absolutely critical to your success. So hopefully that's a place where you'll continue to see over the next 2 years continuous improvement, the whole Excel plus Teams integration work.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Our last piece, also around comments. It's a simple thing, but I think it's the simple things that make a big difference. The ability to resolve comments. So I will frequently mention a bunch of people in a comment to the point that was just being made, an email gets sent out about that, and then I can go back, if I've been mentioned or if I've gotten the answer that I need, and I can resolve those. So I can go click resolve, resolve, resolve. They go gray, and that tells everyone else that that we consider this done, right? This topic is done. I usually let that sit for a little while. I like it till it cleans. So I'll go back and delete them once all that is done. You can also leave them there. So this resolve comments, a very simple way to say, hey, that conversation is done. We got everything we need, but it's still there in perpetuity if other people want to look at that and say, what was the conversation? What was the decision that we made? So again, a simple feature, but one that I love as well, resolve comments. And that's it. So from me, a big, big thank you. I'll stop my screen share now. A huge thank you for everyone. Thank you for your questions. I can hang out for a couple more minutes if you have questions, or I can try to track down answers, but I absolutely appreciate it. Thank you all for being here today. Please do remember to send us smiles, send us frowns. We do look at it, and remember to include the hashtag Excel Toronto. It'll pop in my inbox, and I'm happy to help or get Celia to help as well. So thank you all.
Thank you, Adam. It was great. It's always nice to see new things and how people connect to the new features and how people help each other with answering questions, because it's impossible for anyone to know everything about Excel, and even less for the past months, at least for me, or maybe years, where things seem to be speeded up every week. There's something new about Excel, and also the availability of each tool or each feature in the different types of licenses is a difficult matter. So it's really common that we have these conversations that something is available for someone, it's not available for someone else. But I guess it's just how it works. Thank you so much, Adam. I'm not sure if there are any other questions. Again, feel free to unmute. It was great that you were available to answer questions throughout your presentation with interruptions. Thank you for your patience with us for that. And
I do see a couple of questions here I'll actually take real quick.
Sure.
So let's see. One of them was, copy the presentation. Celia, I'm happy. I'll probably take a picture of my family out, but I'm happy to give you a copy of the presentation if that's valuable, if you want to share with folks. So I'll say, talk to Ms. Alves about that. And then for tracking changes, there's two things that are available today, a couple things available today. One, it doesn't necessarily tell you who did it, but you can work back through version history. So if you have it sitting in SharePoint, and I believe OneDrive supports version history as well. And then the other thing, we have this, we call it while you were away, which is if you come back and people have done things in the upper right corner, if you're on the latest version, you'll see like a little highlight of some of the stuff that happened. It's usually things like someone mentioned you in a comment, not like they made cell changes, but this is feedback we have heard, and it's something we are actively engaged in trying to make better, is as much as I think I can say right now. So, but I agree. I agree. So thank you for the comment.
Yeah, and just I think this is great, Cecilia. This is great. Really, I have a really busy schedule and usually don't get the time to participate in quite a lot that I'd love to. So the timing was perfect, and I have to tell you, Adam, I really appreciate your time. And many times when I'm listening to Excel presentations, it all goes over my head. It's like, so I think it's great to you've found a really simplified way of not making us feel intimidated while you're presenting. So that's pretty good to have that and really being able to, like, you know, go through the new functions and features while really feeling overwhelmed. So that's pretty good. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the feedback. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's part of what you were saying before, Adam, about presenting to a broad audience. Even if there's only 3 or 4 of us in a room, our understanding of the different features of Excel can be quite different. And it's not even that one is more advanced or than the other. It's just that we are used to use different things in Excel because our work is different. So we tend to learn more some features. And the other person maybe is more aware of other types of features. So sometimes it's difficult, as you said, to present and in a way that you know that it's going to be it's going to, how do you say, satisfy everyone at the same level because they are in different
Absolutely
areas of Excel. I don't even know. I'm not even going to say knowledge or skills levels. It's just different areas of work. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of breadth to the product too, right? So to your point, you can be really deep in one area and not know a lot about another one. So thank you all so much. Y'all were super kind. I appreciate it. Great questions. A lot of fun for me. So thank you.
All right. Thank you again. Then thank you everyone who joined us. It's the best part is also for me, it's having people interacting, asking questions, making comments, helping each other in the chat, as I've seen a couple of interactions there too. Having people from different parts of the world, some of you joining at very inconvenient schedules. Thank you for that as well. And again, the video will be available on YouTube after we have the chance to download it and then upload it there. I will send an email with the file by Adam and any other comments that I find, even for the link for the Microsoft Ignite if you are interested in registering. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any information that you think it's useful for the other members of the group too. So there's always Meetup. You can contact me there. Feel free to do that as well.